Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock on a Friday, and I'm here today with a very interesting list. And this has come about because basically you guys have requested me to do this list. The last couple of weeks I've done a couple of lists about the worst tricks of 2021. First of all, I did the worst 10 tricks of 2021. Then I followed it up with 10 more terrible tricks in 2021. And I've had so many comments from people saying, love the list, but can you do a list of the top 10 worst tricks of all time? Which I thought was a really interesting idea, and it's taken me a while to get to this. And the reason is there have been so many terrible tricks throughout the years. And you know what? No list is going to be conclusive. There are so many terrible tricks that have been released throughout the history of magic. And, it's very subjective. Something I hate, I know that there's going to be somebody watching this that absolutely loves it. Something I love, I bet you there's people that are watching this that go, oh, I hate this. Case in point, I said that one of the best tricks of 2021 was Cognito, because I do it all the time. I literally do it at almost every single gig. It's really versatile, blah, 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 blah. I had somebody in the comments go, are you kidding? Cognito, it's one of the worst tricks I've ever seen. That's what I mean by subjective. But in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, these are the 10 worst tricks of all time. Now, what I want you guys to do in the comments down below is let me know what you think. Have you got any of these tricks? If you have, do you agree with me? Are these the 10 worst tricks of all time? Am I missing something that should have been on this list and isn't? I would love to know. I've gone back through the years from when I very first got into magic. Obviously, there's probably tricks from like the 1940s, 1950s that are going to be terrible. They're not included on the list because this is just my personal opinion, and I have to base my personal opinion on tricks that I've seen. But I've been reviewing magic between Magic TV and the World Magic Shop Wizard Product Review for a very long time. And honestly, these are the 10 tricks that I think are the worst tricks of all time. I've taken it very seriously. I have myself a list. So let's count them down. The 10 worst tricks of all time. Right, in 10th position, we have Sankey with zero gravity. Now, Jay is one of my favourite magicians. I love Jay to bits. His book, Definitive Sankey, that came out through Vanishing Ink, is, in my opinion, one of the best book series ever made. I still think that he brought out the best L&L DVD set ever. And I love him to bits. You know, I did a Jay Sankey review show special recently, and I reviewed some of his stuff, and he always brings out top quality items. However, and I've spoken about this on the channel before, Jay is one of those people that has no filter. He has some amazing ideas. He has a billion amazing ideas, and he also has a billion ideas that aren't so good. And sometimes those ideas that aren't very good make it through the filter. And you know, that's not just me saying that, that's common fact. You know, you ask anybody about Jay Sankey and they'll tell you the same thing. He doesn't always bring out hit after hit after hit. It's impossible to bring out the amount of magic that Jay Sankey does and publish the amount of magic Jay Sankey does without having a miss in there somewhere. And in my opinion, one of his misses is one of the worst tricks of all time. And I am, of course, talking about zero gravity. So what is zero gravity? Well, the ad copy basically is that you can borrow a dollar bill, fold it in half lengthways, and you can balance a pack of cards on there or a phone on there. You can balance anything on there that you want to, and then you can literally just undo the dollar bill, and there's no visible means of support. You give the dollar bill back, and everything's examinable. And that's basically what zero gravity is. Now, why is it such a terrible trick? Well, the first reason it's a terrible trick is because there's not really any substance to it. I mean, if you could really do magic, would you balance something on a dollar bill that's been folded in half? Probably not. You know, if you could really do magic and you were going to make things float, you just snap your fingers and you just have the thing float up into the air. There's a million different ways of achieving an effect like this much better than what Jay's actually done. You know, there's nothing wrong with balance effects. You look at Balance by Joshua J, and it's great, right? But this is not a very impressive trick. I've performed this. I remember when I first looked at this, I performed it to a few different people, and everyone was just left feeling very, very cold because it's not even that impressive a trick. Second of all, you can actually replicate the trick that Jay's going for here without any gimmick at all. If you fold a dollar bill and you crease it in a particular way, you can achieve the same thing without actually needing to use the gimmick. How do I know that? Well, when I first learned it and I went out to a restaurant to work it in, I did this trick and somebody went, oh, let me try. And they took the note off me, folded it up and did exactly the same thing, but with no gimmick. And I was like, how'd you do that? It can be done without a gimmick. I mean, that's the problem. And even if it can't be done without a gimmick, again, it comes back to the fact that laymen don't find this very impressive at all. You know, you start balancing, you know, again, you look at balance by JasSher J, you balance like something at extreme angles, that suddenly becomes impossible. This looks like it's possible. It's not even that impressive. And then you've got the biggie for me, which is the actual method. Now, I'm all, you know, here's the thing. The method is ridiculous in terms of how this works. It's such an impractical way to achieve this effect. But what really got my goat on this is the way that Jay spent about 10 minutes on the instructions for this trick, justifying the use of the props, because the props are basically a lollipop stick and a pull. And he spent ages justifying, hey, I went and I had gimmicks made from here, and I had gimmicks made from here, and I had gimmicks made from here, and I tried this, and I tried this, and I ended up, this seems to be the best method. This is not the best method to achieve this trick. What this is a very, very cheap, inexpensive way to make this trick. And if Jay had actually been honest with us and actually said that, maybe that wouldn't have been so bad. But the fact is, he was trying to convince everybody that was watching that this is the best method to achieve this trick, and it's really not. This is something that I think if Jay had carried on working on it, then it could have been better. And I think that that's the problem sometimes with Jay. I think he rushes things to market. And that works a lot of the time. You know, let's not take anything away from Jay Sankey. He has created some of the best magic tricks of all time. Paperclip, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to perform a mystery card plot ever. And he releases hit after hit. This, however, really shouldn't have been released. It's one of those things that either should have been workshopped a lot longer, should have been part of a longer project and not an individual thing. It's terrible. It's not good at all. And I guarantee you there's nobody out there doing this, because there's a million ways of achieving this in a much better way that's ultimately more magical. So at number 9, we have SansMinds Egyptian ink. Holy hell. SansMinds need to count their lucky stars that they were not in business when Magic TV was around, because honestly, I think I would be ripping into them on literally a minute-by-minute basis. SansMinds is everything that's wrong with Magic. And they've gone away now, thank God, but we have been left to deal with the remnants of the crap that they bought out over the course of their company's history. And one of the worst things I've ever seen is Egyptian ink, especially when you consider that there's ways of doing this much better. Like Michael Murray bought out Murray Mint, which is like basically a version of this, but a much better version that actually works. What Egyptian ink is basically is that you have a coin, like a 10p, for example, or a quarter. Somebody signs that coin, somebody initials that coin, and then you have another coin that somebody else's initials, and you make the signature go onto the same coin. It's a little bit like Anniversary Waltz, but with coins. Now, like I say, if you want to see a really good version of this, check out Michael Murray's Murray Mint. I've actually performed this and talked about this on the 5x5 before. This is such a transparent method. And this is an example of a magic producer bringing out a trick that looks good on a trailer, but would not fool a blind monkey. And that's the problem with a lot of magic producers. A lot of magic producers, they bring out a trick that will look good on a trailer, and it's designed to entice magicians into buying it. And when they eventually drop the money onto the product and they go, okay, look, I'm going to buy that, they realize it just wouldn't work. And this is a perfect example, because basically what you get is you get a sheet of acetate. You know that stuff that you used to use in school from years ago that are used on overhead projectors? You get an acetate sheet and you cut out a circle, and the whole idea is that somebody signs the coin, but they're actually signing the sheet of acetate. They're actually signing the acetate so that when you put it in their hand, you can take the other coin and you can have the acetate here, and as you shake, you just line the acetate up. The problem is, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Nobody would ever perform this because it just looks terrible, and it's just so uncommercial, hot garbage. As I say, especially when you compare it to stuff like Murray Mint, that actually is really good. I remember Prop Dog ripping into this, and they ripped into it for good reason. Egyptian ink is terrible. It's a terrible method. It's a terrible trick, and it's a complete and total dishonest trailer. It is a cash grab. All that SansMinds were doing here was trying to get magicians excited about a trailer so they would part their hard-earned money, and they knew that nobody would do this, and they didn't care, which is why SansMinds aren't around anymore. And I thank our lucky stars that they've gone away, and hopefully they will never come back again. In number 8, in 8th position, we have iFloat, which was one of the first tricks that I reviewed on the Wizard product review. Oh God, probably about 12, 14, 15 years ago now. Myself and David Penn did a fake trailer for this way back before honest trailers were a thing. We did a fake trailer for this way back in the day. This is so bad. I think this is the first product I ever properly ripped into on the Wizard product review, and it was marketed as two things: an impromptu floating iPhone. So the whole idea was that you took an iPhone, you borrowed an iPhone, and it would float right in front of the spectators. And then the bonus effect was that you took the spectator's iPhone, dropped it in water, it would float, and then you'd take it back and give it back to them. Sounds great, right? So this is the method. The first phase, where you borrow the phone and it floats, you literally just hold the phone and you do that underneath the phone. That is what you do. It's like they're giving a big fuck you to every single one of their customers. You literally just do this, and you move your hand out the way, and you put your hand back, so it looks like it's floating, but it just doesn't work. It does not work at all. It looks terrible. It looks exactly what you would expect it to look like. It just looks like you're balancing a phone badly on your middle finger. That's exactly what it looks like. The second phase, where the iPhone floats, you make yourself a dummy iPhone out of like sponge or something like that. And what you do is you have that tucked up your t-shirt, and you go to a pond or something, you borrow their phone, as you turn round to go to the pond, you switch it underneath your t-shirt. They don't even give you a good method to do that. And then you just drop the dummy iPhone into the pond, you let it float for a couple of seconds, you take it back, and you switch it back for their phone. Like, literally, that is the method. And they put that on DVD, and they charged a small fortune. I can't remember how much, 20, 30 quid back in the day, for that absolute, complete and total piece of crap. And as funny as it is to look back at tricks like that now, and it is funny to look back at tricks like that now, the problem is, and this is slightly depressing, the magic market hasn't changed. All those years ago, there were production companies and there were creators that just wanted to create magic solely for one reason and one reason only, which is to try and part magicians from their hard-earned money. They don't care about the art. They don't care about making magic better. All they care about is getting your money and coming up with a shitty half-assed method. Well, that's what it was like back in the day, and this is what it's like now. Unfortunately, there's creators out there that are really good. There's production companies out there that are really good, that care about the art of magic, that care about the releases that they're putting out. And then you've got people, you've got tricks like iFloat, which is just a steaming turd floating in the toilet bowl of the magic community. In 7th position, we have Cans by Kevin Parker. Now, my friend Lloyd Barnes has spoken to me on the podcast about Kevin Parker, and he's actually a big fan of Kevin Parker's material, and some of the stuff that I didn't like that Kevin Parker brought out in the day, Lloyd loves, and that's fair enough. I think Lloyd's completely tapped in the head, but there you go. That's his opinion, and that's what I mean about magic being subjective. Something that I hate, somebody else might love. In this case, Kevin Parker. However, I really don't think even Lloyd could defend cans by Kevin Parker. The effect basically is that you have 4 cans that appear. So you make a can appear, and then you hold the can like this, and as you pull it apart, you get a second can, and as you pull it apart again, you get a third can, and as you pull it apart again, you get a fourth can. That's basically what the trick looks like. And let's be honest, I mean, that's a really great trick, right? The method is that you've got to wear like an old-fashioned flasher Mac. You know those sort of Macs that you'd wear if you're a flasher, where you walk up to people and go, hey, 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 check me out. You got to wear one of those Macs. You got to wear a big flasher Mac. And then what you got to do is you got to put 2 cans up this sleeve. You got to put 2 cans up this sleeve. And all that happens is when you're doing it, you're just taking the can, you're just dropping your hand down, and you're just apparently splitting the cans into 2. But really all that's happening is you're just exposing the can that's now in your hand. That's now first of all, bearing in mind, he sold this as a physical product. He sold this as a DVD. There's no gimmick. There's no nothing like that. You put a flasher Mac on, you stick 4 cans up your sleeve, and that's it. It's like from memory, it's like a 5 to 10 minute DVD. You know, of course, back in the day, there were no online tutorials. It's a 5 to 10 minute DVD that teaches you how to do this. So first of all, like, what's the substance here? There is absolutely no substance. Second of all, people have been doing productions like this for years in a much better way. You know, way back, I remember one of my favourite magicians who unfortunately died at a very young age, a guy called Mark Sitcher, who did something called the Dental Act, which was an incredible act. And honestly, light years ahead of his time. He actually did something like this with Listerine bottles. So at the beginning, he would make lots of different coloured bottles of Listerine appear. And he had a white coat on, which made sense in the context of the act because he was meant to be like a dentist. So it made sense that he had this big white coat on. So it made sense of the productions, and the productions were done in a way more visual way. They were just appearing at the tips of the fingers. And because he was using Listerine bottles, they weren't as big. The problem with what Kevin's doing here is, first of all, there's no justification for wearing this coat. There's also no way to get into or out of this effect. You know, what you're supposed to do, just walk around with cans up your sleeve until you see somebody you want to perform for, and then you kind of go into it. And that's the problem with a lot of tricks. And it's the same now as it was back in the day, which is a lot of the time, magic products will teach you a method, but they won't teach you how to get into or get out of the trick. Well, if there's no discussion on the project about how to get into or get out of the trick, that means that they haven't actually really worked this in the real world. And that's the perfect example here. It doesn't talk about, okay, right, you're set up, what am I supposed to do now? Well, I'm in my restaurant, I'm in my residency, I'm in my flasher Mac, I've got my Coke cans up my sleeve, right, what am I supposed to do? Walk up to the table like this, like what am I meant to do to get into this, right? He even flashes it on the trailer like 4 times. That's how bad it is. You can actually see on the trailer exactly how it works. It's a terrible method. It's completely angle prone. It's not worth releasing. And again, it's another example of production companies releasing a trick that's not fit for purpose. It's just absolutely terrible. It's a technique that's done before, and it's a terrible technique at that. I think we're starting to see a pattern with this list. Okay, in 6th place, we have CTG by Peter Eggink. And let's be honest, where would we be in a list of the worst tricks of all time if we didn't have a Peter Eggink trick in there? It's got to have a Peter Eggink trick, right? This was the worst trick of 2020 when I did my list of the top 10 worst tricks of 2020. Not products, but tricks. This was on there. I think it was number 1. What is CTG? CTG is coin through glass, and what it is basically is it's Peter's method for having a pack of cards, putting a glass on the pack of cards, having a coin, making it disappear, and making it appear underneath the glass. That's basically what we have here, and it's a 1-phase routine. The coin disappears and it appears underneath the glass. That's basically what it is. And it's very, very expensive. It's all based on electronics. You get a remote control with it. I think you charge like 100 or 150 pounds for this. What's so bad about it? Well, first of all, you can achieve exactly the same thing with very minimal sleight of hand. There are 100 ways of doing what you see Peter do here without the need of any electronic stuff at all. And that's the problem with a lot of the stuff that comes out that's really expensive. You can achieve the same thing without the expensive equipment, right? So you're doing something here that you could do without needing all of the gimmickry. Second of all, when the coin appears, right? First of all, it's a very gimmicked deck of cards, okay? So you can't really do anything with this deck other than do this trick. And so you've got this deck of cards. When the coin appears there on the card box underneath the glass, there's a couple of problems. First of all, when it appears in a very odd looking way. It's not like it falls through the glass like you would expect with other versions of this trick. It just looked like it appears there and just lays flat on the card box. It kind of looks very, very unnatural. And second of all, when it's there, you can't have that coin examined. And to be clear, at that point, the spectators are going to want to examine the coin. They can't. You have to do a switch in order to give them the coin. And that is precisely the wrong time to do a switch. You've got this pack of cards, which maybe the spectator's holding, maybe you've put on the table, you've put a glass over it, you've made the coin disappear, it's appeared right there. They want to see that coin at that point. Doing a switch at that point is just, from a routineng point of view, totally the wrong time to do a switch. Totally the wrong time to do a switch. Also, it's a one-phase routine. So once you've done it, you can't do it again immediately. You've got to reset the trick. You can't do anything else with the pack of cards because it's designed to just do this trick. It's just, for this one phase, you've got all this electronic stuff to going on for this one phase, which isn't even that good. There's a million ways, as I say, of achieving this without needing to go down this route. If you're going to spend money on having an electronic device to do something, I want it to do something amazing that I can't replicate with sleight of hand. And then, of course, the other problem that you've got with this, which is a standard problem with a lot of Peter's tricks, is that the trailer is the trailer. I don't want to say it's dishonest, but the trailer shows you things that aren't possible. And I hate that about trailers. I hate it when there's something on the trailer that you don't actually get. So there's this moment on the trailer where Peter's got the coin in his hand and he just squeezes and the coin disappears and it appears underneath the glass. And he's using some sort of coin vanish, probably with a piece of thread, like a, Now You See Me or Fickle Nickel style thing. He has that coin disappear, but he doesn't teach that on the project at all. I know for a fact from speaking to magicians that there's some magicians out there that bought that project because they wanted to learn that vanish, and he doesn't even talk about it. If the trick that you're bringing out can't stand on its own merits on the trailer, then for God's sake, don't put something else on there that you're not teaching on the trailer. This just lacks substance. It solves a problem that doesn't exist, and it's just your typical Peter Eggink hot mess. In number 5, in 5th position, we have the Twixter by Neil Trigger. I honestly, when I was putting this list together, I was going through different tricks and I was thinking, should that be in the list? Should that not be in the list? Should I change this around and put something else here? And different tricks went into and out of the list a lot. This trick, the Twixter, was always on the list. There was no way I was going to put this list together without having this travesty of shitness on the list, because it is absolutely terrible. The question wasn't whether it should be on the list. The question is at what position should be on the list. And I still now think it should be higher than number 5, but whatever. What is it? Well, basically, it's a trick where it's just stupid just thinking about it. You have somebody pick a card, and you say, hey, I've got magicians have a a trick up my sleeve. I've got a couple of them or something. Hey, it's a Twix. I've got a Twix up my sleeve. And you pull out this Twix from out your sleeve. It's not like it's a magical production of a Twix or anything like that. You just literally pull a Twix from out of your sleeve. And then during the course of the routine, you show that it's got the name of the card engraved onto the Twix or something along those lines. I mean, there's so much wrong with this trick, it's ridiculous. First of all, it's completely illogical. Why would you have a Twix up your sleeve? Why would that make any fucking sense whatsoever? Why does it make any sense having a Twix up your sleeve? It doesn't make any sense. Surely if you did that, there'd be chocolate everywhere. Why is there not chocolate everywhere? Why has he put that up his sleeve for a gag? It makes absolutely no sense. Also, it's not very hygienic. At least if you were going to do that, go to the trouble of putting the Twix in a wrapper and sealing it back up or something. And then it's basically just a card revelation, right? But it's the worst card revelation ever because everybody knows that that's a trick Twix. And you can't have it examined it's just stupid. It's stupid on so many levels. It is, I could do a video on my own of 20 minutes ranting about how stupid this trick is. And then Neil Trigger, bless his cotton socks, I don't know him, but he can't perform for toffee. Not everyone's a performer. That's absolutely fine. Not everybody is a performer. Not everybody can perform, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for God's sake, if you're going to bring a trick out and you can't perform, get somebody else to do your trick for you. Or maybe he tried a whole bunch of magicians and he was like, hey, would you like to perform this on my project? No. Nobody wanted to touch it with a barge pole. That was probably what happened here. But he teaches a underground card move that's been in his repertoire for years, which is like this color change thing. And A, it wouldn't fool a blind monkey. B, it just looks so convoluted to the point that the trailer has to cut away when he's doing the move, because if it didn't cut away, you'd see exactly what he's doing. Everything about this is a joke. If it wasn't the fact that people would charge money for this, I would find this amusing. But the fact is, this tells me exactly what's wrong with the magic community. When I see that a project like this has been greenlit by a production company and is being distributed to magicians all over the world, where is the quality control? Because honestly, this should never have made it past Neil Trigger creating the concept and showing it to somebody. What should have happened is whoever Neil Trigger showed this to, whether it was a magic shop, whether it was a wholesaler, whether it was a producer, he should have got to the point where he was showing them this and they should have just laughed him out of the building and told him to take a long walk off a short pier. And the fact that it actually ended up going to market really kind of depresses me a little bit, because this is just shit. In fourth place, Peter Eggink is back. That's right. You can't not have Peter Eggink you can't not have Peter Eggink more than once on the top 10 worst tricks of all time. You just can't. He's got to be on there a couple of times. And in fourth place, we have Card Through Window, CTW by Peter Eggink. And I know there's going to be people watching this but going, hang on a minute, Craig. CTW didn't even make your top 10 worst tricks of 2021. Well, you know what? I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. I put the top 10 list of 2021 together before I'd actually seen that trick, and this came out in 2021. CTW was one of the reasons I did a follow-up video of 10 more terrible tricks in 2021. Honestly, looking at all of the Peter Eggink terrible tricks from 2021, I think Card Through Window, CTW, is the worst for many different reasons. It is so expensive for what it does. There are hardly any places that you can do it, and you can replicate exactly the same trick without using the gimmick at all. Because all you have with this gimmick, ultimately, I love how he tries to justify that it's practical. This is a practical method to achieve this effect. Really? It's really practical, is it? Where am I going to perform it? Where am I going to put my free Wi-Fi sticker in my mate's house so I can perform this trick? Honestly, everywhere I think, well, maybe I could perform this, I can't perform it. And it wouldn't matter if there weren't a million methods to do this same trick in a much better way. including the classic stick it on the window when they're not looking and just use misdirection. You know, that's a viable way of achieving this trick. But it's so overpriced. And I would love to know in the comments down below, is there anybody who's actually doing CTW by Peter Eggink? Because at this point, you know, I remember CTW coming out and the guys on the cafe going, oh wow, Peter Eggink's come up with a new trick. This is perhaps where he can redeem himself. It's not me. I feel sometimes like I'm ragging on Peter Eggink, but it's not just me that is saying his stuff is terrible. Everybody you speak to says his stuff is terrible right at the moment. It feels like I'm going on about it all the time because Peter brings out magic tricks quite a lot. Think about all the tricks that have come out from Peter Eggink in 2021. Think about all the tricks that came out from Peter Eggink in 2020. None of them were good. None of them were good. But every couple of months, a new trick comes out, and I have to review it. I'm a magic reviewer. It's part of my job on this channel to review magic tricks. So obviously, I'm going to be talking about Peter an awful lot. And the fact is, I would love nothing more than for Peter Eggink to bring out a trick that absolutely smashed it. But you know what? Unfortunately, I'm in a situation right now when both me and Ryland see a Peter Eggink trick come out and we go, oh my God, not another one. Oh God, what are we going to have to deal with here? And we end up spending a small fortune on crap in order to try and, you know, learn a trick that nobody is ever going to do. And CTW is a perfect example of Peter bringing out another gimmick trick that he's charging a small fortune for, that you can do without gimmicks, you can do without electronics, and it's just completely impractical. It's just a terrible trick, and I really, I'm sick and tired of reviewing Peter Eggink tricks. In third place, we have Drinkmagic by Michael P. Lair. Now, this is something that I reviewed many years ago on the Wizard product review. And I wanted to, before I did this list, I wanted to find out if this was as bad as I remember it. Because I remember watching this on the Wizard product review and laughing my ass off at how terrible this product was. And I remember Michael P. Lair being very upset with my review. You know, he didn't want people to be honest about his product. He wanted people to just basically just buy it and just accept the shoddy shittiness that the DVD was. And I thought, well, you know, maybe I was wrong. So I went back and watched it again. It's just as bad as I remember it. It really is just as bad as I remember it. Nothing has changed. If anything, over time, it's got worse. Basically, what Drinkmagic is it's a collection of routines which involve drink or soda cans or something, some such thing. The problem is, not all of the project is completely terrible. Some of the tricks on there are just average. But a lot of them are just awful. So he's got productions of really large bottles of soda, and he's using black art, but in a very obvious way. And you can just watch the performance. Even on the trailer, if you watch the trailer, you look at it and you go, I can see exactly what's going on here. And I think if Michael really believes that this stuff works to real people, he needs to take more credit for his audience. Audiences aren't fooled by a lot of the stuff that's going on in here. And if they react, they're reacting because they're being polite, not because they're fooled, because it's just obvious what's going on. And it's kind of like an example of somebody who's had a really good idea. Oh, let's do a DVD on tricks with drinks, and they've bought this stuff out and they've maybe got one decent idea and they try to pad it out with a whole bunch of crap that just doesn't work and looks terrible. And as I say, it hasn't changed over the years. It's got worse, not better. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's a terrible product. I know that Michael P. Lair has got good stuff out. I know that Michael P. Lair is a respected magician, and I respect that, I really do. But you have to look at every single trick on a trick-by-trick basis and not take into account people's reputations. And Drinkmagic has stood the test of time. as being one of the worst tricks that I ever reviewed on the Wizard Product Review. My God, this trick sucks. It's a collection of really bad crap routines that are just impractical and just badly taught. In second place, we have the Perfidious Any Card at Any Number. The Perfidious Any Card at Any Number. Oh my God, this trick is bad. So if you don't know what the Perfidious Any Card at Any Number is, the whole idea is that it's a deck of cards. You have somebody name a card, they name a card, and you deal down to that card. And when you get to that card, it's got a different coloured back. And when you turn it over, it's the card they named, and every other card in the deck is blank, and it's all examinable. That's what it is. And it sounds like a dream trick, doesn't it? The only problem with it is the method completely and totally sucks. And the guy that created the Perfidious Any Card at Any Number, honestly, he doesn't have a clue. He can't perform. He can't teach. You know, when he's actually performing this stuff, he's like going, oh, my hands are sweaty. He's trying to teach a move and he's stuffing the move up over and over again. And he goes, oh, my hands are sweaty. That's why it's not working. My hands are sweaty. And he's teaching this index that he's created to do this trick, right? And it's not working. He's not getting the right card. And he goes, oh, yeah, my jeans are tight. You need baggy jeans. And he's just making excuses throughout the whole project as to why this thing that he's trying to teach is not working, right? And the method is just insane. The method is insane. It would never work. The index that he's created. So he's created this index. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. He basically just farrows this deck together and just sticks it in his pocket. And he says, from there, you get, it's just ridiculous. The method doesn't work. It's like somebody's had a half an idea as to how to actually achieve this trick. And they're kind of gone, yeah, that kind of works in theory. Let's present that. And in reality, there's more holes in this project than in Swiss cheese. Like, it's just terrible. And it is the perfect, quintessential example of a cash grab. It's also the perfect example of why certain people should not be allowed to teach magic. This is a download, and this, for me, sums up the problem with a lot of downloads, which is, you know, the problem with a download compared to a project or a physical trick is no one is stopping anybody from releasing downloads. And so you've got downloads coming out that are just dreadful tricks. And the person on the download can't teach the trick. And this is an example of a guy that can't teach the trick. In fact, this is an example of somebody who's never performed this trick in the real world, ever. And you know what? I'm willing to bet there's a lot of tricks on this list where the tricks have never been taught in the real world before, never been performed in the real world before. But this is a perfect example. The guy on this project, he goes, well, you know, I showed it my mom and my mom liked it. And I showed it my brother and my brother liked it. And I showed it my dad and my dad never normally likes magic, but he liked it. And that's why I'm releasing it to you, because my family like it. How about you take your little trick and you go and perform it down your gig? Why don't you spend 2 years performing it in the real world before you release it? Because then maybe it would be a good trick. And that is a piece of advice I'm going to give to every single person, not only that's on this list, but every single person that's ever thinking about creating a trick. Go and perform it in the real world. Put some time into it. If you think it's perfect and you spend 2 years working on it, it will get better. I guarantee it. Stop trying to rush things to market to try and get a cash grab from magicians' pockets. Don't do that. Work on the routine. Hone it in. Make it better. Make it the best it can be. That's what you need to do. Not, oh, I've shown it my mom and she likes it, so I'm going to release it. That's just ridiculous. Perfidious Any Card at Any Number is just out and out plain garbage. And now we're down to number one. The worst trick of all time. The worst trick ever in the entire history of magic. NPAD. I thought about it long and hard. There were a couple of times on this list when NPAD did not make the cut into the first position, but ultimately I had to put this in first position because it is so bad for so many different reasons. It doesn't work at all. Like, it doesn't work. It's not fit for purpose. It does one trick badly. You can't even use it as a close-up pad. You have to bring it in to do this one trick and then take it away again immediately. The trailer is a complete and total dishonest bag of lies. You know, look at the trailer. It says in there at one point, instant reset. No, it's not an instant reset. It's far from an instant reset. It takes about a minute to reset, and you're probably going to cut your finger while trying to reset it. Saying it's an instant reset is a bag of lies. It's just lies. And then the trailer shows you doing all of this ace cutting and all of these matrices, which you can't do on the pad. But even if you could do them on the pad, they don't explain them in the download. And then you've got the little bag thing. 50% of the trailer is made up of stuff going into this little bag. Well, first of all, the bag is stuck to the pad and you can't even pick it up. But secondly, you don't even get the bag. Half of the tutorial is an arts and craft class where they teach you how to get a piece of cloth, now sew it all together, now cut it off, now turn it inside out. You're making your own bag. Why can't they supply a bag? If the bag is integral to the effect and it's on 50% of the tricks on the trailer, why not have the fucking bag included in the project? This is just a terrible trick and it offends me, which is why I did this. This doesn't even go in a bottom drawer. 200 quid, 200 pounds. I absolutely hate this piece of crap. I hate it. That's what it's worth. It's worthless. That was me smashing up the pad on my review show. And let me be clear, SMagic. Let me be absolutely, completely and totally crystal clear. And I hope that somebody in SMagic is listening to this. And I want you to look at me in the eyes and listen to every single word that I have to say. If I had the chance, I would go to every single place where there is an NPAD and I would smash it into bits. Every single one of them. I really hope that you're at Blackpool. And I hope that Blackpool goes ahead because I'm going to be there. And I really hope that you've got a booth. Because if you have got a booth, I'm going to come up to your booth. I'm going to take every single one of the NPADs that are on your booth. And I'm going to smash the ever-loving crap out of them. Because it is not fair what you're doing. It is not fair that you're releasing a project that is not fit for purpose. This pad is terrible. This pad does not work. This pad makes such a loud noise, it's ridiculous. And your trailer lies through its teeth. How is anybody meant to trust you with any project that you ever bring out in the future when you have lied through your teeth to sell this? How? Let me know how this got through quality control at SMagic headquarters. You know, you've got the lead designer who's designed this stupid trick, and they go to the head of SMagic and they go, right, okay, sir, we've got your NPAD. Oh, really? Show it me. Okay, look, watch the coin. Ka-chunk! Okay, how's that, sir? Is that ready? Well, it makes a bit of a noise, doesn't it? I don't think that that's really practical unless you're performing to a bunch of deaf people. I don't think that's going to work. Maybe if perform it in a nightclub and the music in the nightclub is so loud, it is literally deafening, then maybe it'll work. Oh, don't worry about that, sir. You know, we're going to put it out anyway. Oh, really? Yeah. Magicians will buy absolutely anything. Okay, fair enough. That's the only way that this possibly could have gone. I don't understand how this went through quality control, other than the fact that you don't care about your customers. You don't care about anything other than taking their $200, taking their £200 and putting it into your bank account. That's all you care about. And I will not rest. I will not stop until every single NPAD is smashed up exactly the same way as I smashed up my NPAD, because this is an insult to the magic community. This is an insult to magic producers and magic dealers and creators that work hard to put a good quality product out that customers are proud to own. You have done the exact opposite, and you spit in the face of every good company out there. You spit in the face of every good creator out there. You spit in the face of every single person in this community that has ethics with your bag of lies, bullshit, dishonest trailer, your shoddy, terrible, awful product that wouldn't fool a blind monkey or a deaf monkey in this case. You really, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, you really should be ashamed of yourself. I hope I see you at Blackpool. Bring your NPADs with you. So there you go, guys. That is another video in the bag right here. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you guys think of my list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is this a list that you stand behind? Are there tricks that are terrible that you have experienced that should have been on this list? Do you think that I've put something on this list that shouldn't have been on there, and maybe, you know, it's a good trick and maybe I'm being harsh on it? I would love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. Are there any of the tricks on this list that you perform? And if so, what are your reactions like? I want to know in the comments down below. Don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, all you got to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and I'm going to be back again all over the weekend. We're going to be here on Magic TV. 8 videos over 2 days. On Saturday, we're going to have a shorts at 2, at 6 o'clock at live, and at 12 o'clock an honest trailer, and at 9 o'clock a talk magic. And then on and honestly, the talk magic this Saturday is amazing. I'm interviewing John Armstrong, one of the greatest card magicians of all time, the gentleman who invented the tiny plunger. He's going to be live right here on Magic TV on Saturday night. Then on Sunday, we're going to have 12 o'clock, we're going to have a Q&A, 2 o'clock a short, 6 o'clock a live, and then at 9 o'clock a review show special. There's a lot to look out for right here on Magic TV this weekend. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.